Welcome to the Cyber Law and Business Report. Get the top story on the hot button internet legal topics of the day. This is your home for the latest on internet law and policy. Hear the latest net trends impacting business and have your questions answered right here. This is the Cyber Law and Business Report. Now, please welcome your host, the founder of the Internet Law Center, Bennet Kelley.
Good morning. This is Bennet Kelley, founder of the Internet Law Center, here with another edition of Cyber Law and Business Report. We're broadcasting live from the Internet Law Center here in downtown Santa Monica, the heart of Silicon Beach. Thank you for joining us. We have another great show for you today. We're going to be talking about the latest and greatest in the domain world. We're covering the new gTLDs, the great expansion beyond the .com, .net, and beyond. And we're also going to be talking about ICANN accountability, and we're going to be doing it with a great friend of the show who is with Minds+Machines, and they are one of the leading players in that space. In fact, they were even created just for this space. So we have with us Reg Levy, and she is the VP of Compliance and Policy for Minds+Machines in sunny downtown Culver City. How are you, Reg?
I'm doing great, Bennet. I just got back from Dublin, where ICANN met for the 54th official time, and I think I'm finally over jet lag.
We're coming back from Dublin. One question is whether it is jet lag that you may be over. As we move on in the domain process, you guys are playing obviously a significant role in ICANN in terms of as in policy role. And one issue that comes up in policy is ICANN accountability and and hand in hand in transition from the commerce status, current status, this memorandum of understanding to possibly being overseen by some independent body. And what is your view on that transition?
So currently, ICANN runs pretty autonomously from the Department of Commerce and the U.S. government. But because of the MOU, it's seen as still being an arm of the U.S. government. And so from an international perspective, when people seek to criticize ICANN, it's a very easy target to say, well, they're just stooges of the U.S. government. Now, again, in practice, that is not the case. But I do think that it is very important to proceed with the IANA transition, and if only to remind everyone that ICANN is a global force. Its motto is one world, one internet, which I suppose is a little hokey, but I love it. And it's true, because this is why we go to Dublin. This is why we go to Durban and Singapore and Toronto, because this is not just a U.S. operation. It really is, and it really involves people from all over the world. So the accountability piece of the IANA transition comes down to how ICANN and the ICANN board operate. ICANN is a U.S. California nonprofit, and at the end of the day, although it is, as I like to say, democracy on steroids, it's the board of ICANN that makes the final decision. And so a lot of the accountability discussions come down to whether or not the community has the ability to override the board in few and far between. So a lot of it comes down to just sort of on paper showing that there is accountability to the community so that we can move forward with the transition. And that's something that the community has said, and that even the U.S. government has said with relation to the IANA transition. And
what steps need to be taken to make the community feel more comfortable?
That's a good question. I think acknowledgement of the community and the community's role by the board would be the main step. There's a lot of perception among the community that the board is ruled by legal interests, which is to say they act in the way, in so that they don't get sued, that's
Okay.
always their final consideration, as opposed to their remit, which is the security and stability of the internet. And so reaffirmation of those kinds of commitments would go a long way toward making the community feel better about allowing ICANN to be even more autonomous.
And we're back. Just a quick detour and homage to a high school classmate of mine who was famous for saying, "Ice cold beer makes you want to cheer. Ice cold duck makes you want to. Happy birthday, James." A good friend from high school. He was a very boisterous fan of the football team. So I know I screwed up his cheer, but anyway, happy birthday, James. Come 40 in Massachusetts, wherever you are. And for listeners, we have a full background in the show notes on our blog at cyberlawradio.wordpress, as well as we tweeted it out on our Twitter account at Cyberlaw Radio. So definitely check it out. There's some background on the issues, including information about Minds+Machines and their properties. And be sure to check out internetlawcenter.net. That's my firm. We handle domain issues, among other issues. We're a full-service internet law firm. Definitely check us out, internetlawcenter.net. We're here in sunny Santa Monica, and that's all we have for you this week. It's been a pleasure having Reg. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bennet.
We've been needing to have you on for some time, and this is a very important space, and we'll definitely keep monitoring it. But I want to thank you all for joining us. We're coming up on our 200th show. It's been 5 years. It's been a lot of fun, and so hope you'll join us for show number 200 when we come back next week. And that's all we have. Thanks again to our producer, Brasco, and have a great week. This is Bennet Kelley with Internet Law Center saying so long.
This has been a presentation of WebmasterRadio.fm, the world's largest business-to-business radio and podcast network. We welcome you to sample past episodes of this program, as well as our complete library of programs, on demand or on the air via our 24/7 live audio stream at www.webmasterradio.fm. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of WebmasterRadio.fm's management or sponsors. Any rebroadcast or redistribution without authorized consent of WebmasterRadio.fm is prohibited.